Glad you joined me. We're going to paint a beautiful old red mill today. Let's just go right onto the canvas and get started. I've already pre-sketched my canvas with pencil so that you can see the lines. I'm going to skim over these lines very quickly with a wash of color. Now, wash is your color and your thinner, whatever you're using to thin your paints with, mixed to a transparent consistency. You don't want heavy paint when you're doing something like this. Just going to do this very quickly, and this is for you. Okay, this is our mill. This is the shadowed side, so we'll make it a little bit darker. Just full of windows. This mill has a lot of character. It's located in Fayette, Georgia, Fayette County, Georgia. We really used to picnic there years ago. Beautiful place. It's still a beautiful site. I don't know how authentic this story is, but it's rumored that the family is related to Belle Starr that built the mill years and years and years ago. That may just be a rumor. We have no idea of knowing, but it does add a little character to it, doesn't it? Okay, now this may confuse you right here. This is the dam. This is where the water falls over. So when you paint this, you want your water to fall straight. Puddles out, bubbles out, into the mill pond. This is a little sandbar right through here. I believe that's enough sketching, and I'm just real anxious to get started, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Let me tell you this. This is reflections from the post right here that's holding the mill. Now, that was one thing I forgot. Water puddling over. This water comes across here very gently, falls down, bubbles out. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start in the horizon using a mixture of white and yellow ochre right behind these trees. Now notice when I paint back in here, I overlap my outline. I took all that pains to show you where it goes, and now I'm covering it up. Doing that for a reason. If you don't overlap your outline, 9 times out of 10 when you paint your trees in, you're going to have little bitty specks of white canvas showing. We try to avoid that if we can, so just skim right down over your outline, just like that. Okay, same thing on this side. Remember to come over your outline. One other thing I want you to remember when you're painting a sky is you don't want to paint a straight line across your sky. Always try to use irregular shapes, high places and low places. That's real important. If you paint a straight line, you're going to have trouble overcoming it later. Now wash my brush, and I'm loading with Veridian green and white. If your Veridian green is real bright, you could add a touch of burn umber to kind of tone it down. Mine's not, so I didn't have to. Different manufacturers have different formulas, and some of them would be real bright. Right on down to the yellow. Any kind of strokes will do. It really doesn't matter. While I'm working with the Veridian green and white, I'm going to go ahead and fill my water in. This part over here, same color, your Veridian and your white. It's good to go ahead and use that same mixture. Saves you a little time in the long run. So just mix enough up to start with to do both your sky and your water. There we go. Okay, now although this water is going to fall across this wall, the wall's a different color. So I'm not taking the water all the way across the wall at this point. I'll do that later. Now I'm going to take a fan brush, and it's dry. I have not put it in my thinner yet. And blend my edges between the green and the yellow. Just soften your edges just a little bit. Okay, now I want to add a cloud in the sky, and it's already just about there, isn't it? The yellow. All I have to do now is tip the yellow with white and yellow ochre. And lo and behold, I have a cloud. See, my shape was already there. Okay, let's get a tad on this side, just a touch. Maybe one more. It's so pretty once that water starts falling over that wall. You're just not going to believe it. Okay, while we're working with this lighter color, with your yellow ochre and your white, we know we're going to have highlights in the water from the yellow ochre and white, wouldn't we? So we might as well just add a few, although part of that's going to be covered with reflection. Part of it will peek through that reflection. As long as I had it on my brush, might as well use it. Okay, now back to us. Now we're going to a different brush. This is a number 12 synthetic sable, and I'm using sap green and burnt umber. Brush mixing. Dip your brush into each puddle 2 or 3 times before you start applying your paint to the canvas. Well, let me show you this real quick. Now this is going to be background bushes and a bank back in here. But to save time, I'm just going to paint all of this in, but now we know where to go, don't we? And then I'll show you how to pull it back out. Okay, you can fill this in solid at the base. Takes a lot of paint to this, doesn't it? Fill it in solid at the base. Stipple your tops. See what a pretty ragged edge I'm getting looking like distance. You can see through them. Looks like it's way back in the distance. Don't want much paint on your brush when you start to stipple your tops and your sides. You want to keep them ragged. You want to keep them uneven. You want the sky to peek through them. Got to do this all the way across. And I'm staying with this smaller brush so that I can get these pretty shapes up in here. Okay, here we go. Stipple, stipple. A little bit higher right there. Very good. Looking good. Sketch a few right through here. Right on up over the mill. And stipple. Now they look a little bit flat, don't they? But we're going to highlight them. So don't get excited. We're not going to leave them like that. I promise thee. Let's just bring this right on down. All the way down to the water. How about? It's going to be real dark in here, so we might as well just cover that right now. Under the mill too. This is a beautiful place. This old mill, they keep it painted so pretty. Although it's not operational anymore. It was till a few years ago. But whoever owns it now, and I have no idea who it is, they keep it. It's well kept. It's just a beautiful place, show place. And artists love to paint it. The reflections in the water are so picturesque. Now don't hold me to that Bill Starr business. That could be just a Clayton County. That could be just a Fayette County. They may just be making that up. I have no idea. Okay? Now while we add it, we might as well pull the reflections down in the water from the from the greenery. We're going to load with the same color, sap green and burn umber, and I'm brush loading, and I'm going to a fan brush. You could have used the same brush, but this just saves a little bit of time. It's a little bit bigger. If you have high places in your shrubbery or your background growth or wild growth or whatever it is, you're going to have long reflections, wouldn't you? Yes, you would. This is coming right on across the wall, okay? If you have smaller places like the dip here, you're going to have a shorter reflection. If you pick up the light color from your water, all you do is just kind of smear it in, your dark. Because we're going to go back and highlight in just a minute. Okay, long reflection. Okay. Now I want to do two things to that. I want to put a little highlight on it real quickly. Then I want to pull those banks out. I'm going to use burnt sienna with a touch of yellow ochre, a little bit of white, and sort of tip a few of these, just a little bit. Now doesn't that look like the sun just shining through them? You know it does. You don't want to catch every one of them. Not every little sprig. Just here and there. Okay, now while I'm working with that brush, I'm going to use the yellow ochre and white. Pull my banks out. And soften downward into the bank, leaving the bank dark at the bottom for the shadow. You have to leave the bottom of the bank dark. Okay, work it in. Now we might as well put our water lines in while we're working in that area. They go right across here. They're broken lines. Right on across. Okay, so far it's looking great. Okay, I'm going back to the sienna and the yellow ochre and pull me out a few little bushes through here. Leave them dark at the bottom. Once that meal reflects in that water, you're going to really get excited. Pull a few out right through here. Okay, let's paint the meal. I'm going to use burnt sienna for that. It's a little bit bright. I think I'll add a little burnt umber to it. See if that one, yeah, I like that better. Now you can paint these windows out if you want to. By that you can paint right over them, or do like I'm doing, try to save them. I'm going to leave that up to you. You're going to have to tighten them up a little bit later though, because you never, even when you paint around them like this, you never leave them real straight. You always have to go back and touch up. Okay, now I want the meal to dry just a little bit because I have another coat that goes on this, a brighter coat. Let's get those windows as straight as we can right now though. Pretty good. Okay, this is our shadowed side here. So when I highlight, I've got to keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and add our pillars. That'd be yellow ochre with a touch of burnt umber. Okay, I can't wait to get on the wall. Blue and burnt umber, cerulean blue, burnt umber, and white to make a gray. And we're going to paint our wall. I've been dying to do this since I got started. There we go. Okay, the top of the wall is a little bit lighter than the sides, so I'm going to add a little white to my mixture. There we go. Okay, now we're going to paint the side, and to show that it is standing up, this has to be a little bit darker. So I'm using less white here. And also I'm using vertical strokes. Now I want you to notice that, that's important. Vertical strokes, not horizontal. No doubt in your mind now that that's standing straight up. Okay, we're going to fill in this water over in here. I hate to do it, but to make the painting pretty, go to a bigger brush and cover some canvas pretty hurriedly here. Burn umber. I'll leave my reflection, if I can, right on over to my wall. This water goes all the way back up in here, and there's a little sandbar right out in here. I think I'll add it right now. Yellow, ochre, and white. Pull a reflection down from it. Reflection from the pillows. I believe they're going to have to go a tad darker. Oh, shadow on the sandbar. And there's a little bush, little green bush. Now this is authentic. This is exactly the way this meal looks today. Little green bush that's growing right here, right out in that water. We want reflections from the bush, don't we? Sure we do. I think we better put a top on this meal. What do you think? I believe we better. Okay, excuse my hand. Down the side. And a little bit of an angle here. Now I'm going to highlight that just a little bit with white. All right, you should see the angle better now, right there. We need a shadow under the roof on the meal. It's too much, a little bit too much of an angle. I'm going to take a tad of it off. Okay, how about let's go ahead and add the windows real quick while the water's drying a little bit. I'm using Payne's Gray for this. You could make a mixture if you wanted to of your blue and burnt umber. Now this is what makes this meal so pretty. It has white facings around these windows. I mean bright white, clean white. Almost doesn't look real. You may have seen this on calendars or something. I don't know. It's really a pretty place. Okay, let's get a little brighter red on it. In doing this, you wouldn't want to brighten the whole meal. You just want to brighten it in places. You still want it to look, to have character. Ooh, that's pretty. Make it look like it's boards, which it really is. So we don't take a big brush and just brighten the whole thing. We just brighten here and there, sort of pick spots. And then pull like across it like you're making boards, leaving it dark on the right side. Okay, I think I'm going to have to go back and darken that right side a tad though. Lost it a little bit. Tighten up the windows a little. Okay, it's looking great so far. I'm going to put a little highlight on these pillows now and my reflections, and I'm about ready to pull that water across that mill. I mean across the dam or whatever you call it. Touch up this side just a little bit. It's pretty good. Okay, we're going back to a soft brush. I think before I'll do that, I'll take just a minute and darken this water right down in here just a little bit with cerulean blue. Give the painting a little depth. Just work it right in, right on across the wall. Maybe a streak or two across there, okay? Now we're going with the white. This is the exciting part. Aren't you just so excited you don't know what to do? Ease very gently. Very gently. Remember, you're working over wet paint. Water starting to shimmer. You don't want to cover all of your water with these highlights either. That would be a no-no. You just want it to look like it's coming across, gently flowing across the wall. And spilling down the wall. And what is it going to have to do once it spills? Now this is important too. Most people lose it right here. I've taught this in class so many times, and this is where we get in trouble. They fill in this whole side of the wall with your white, but you must leave some of this dark wall showing. Oh, it's not going to look realistic. Let's take the fan brush and kind of push it down just a little bit. See, I've left part of that dark wall showing there. That is important. Pull it across, let it gently fall downward. Okay, now we're going to have some bubbles, aren't we? Okay, bubbles. Splashes against the bottom of the, this is a flat area here. It splashes and it bubbles out. Splashes and bubbles, splashes and bubbles. All over in here. And take your time on this, because this is to me is the pretty part, the prettiest part of the whole painting. We need a few water lines back in here under our sandbar, wasn't it? Okay, we need to separate the sandbar from the reflections, don't we? That would be with the white bubbles. Now we need a little red in the water too. That's a must. Just here and there. And then we're going to very gently soften that inward. Put a little water over in here, a little white to make it look like water. And kind of splash it up a little bit. And we're just getting ourselves a pretty painting. I can't wait to see it once it's finished. Although I have painted it over and over, I know what it looks like. It's every time it's exciting again. Got a little bit too much white right there. Okay, this is just touch-up time. I'm just going to kind of examine it and see what needs to go where. This needs a little touching right here. Wouldn't hurt to have a little bit deeper reflection. Remember, reflections make you water. but they always need to wiggle just a little bit. If your water's moving, they're going to have to move just a tad. You really have to do that. And I'm going to soften just a little bit right here. Just kind of play with it just a minute and see how we can really bring it up to a professional look once we get all the colors laid on. I think we're going to need a highlight right here on this bush, don't you? Sure you do. You know you do. Well, I think we've just done a real pretty job. I hope you're just as proud of it as I am. Do one other thing and then I'm going to have to leave you. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to. That meal would be casting a shadow on these pillows, wouldn't it? Things like that, you have no choice. You have to do it. Okay, I believe that's it for today. I certainly have enjoyed being with you, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for being with me. Bye-bye.